Book of Jubilees, Chapter 13. And Abram journeyed from Haran, and he took Sarai, his wife, and Lot his brother Haran's son, to the land of Canaan. And he came into Assur, and proceeded to Shechem, and dwelt near a lofty oak. And he saw, and, behold, the land was very pleasant from the entering of Hamath to the lofty oak. And Yahuwah said to him, To you, and to your seed will I give this land. And he built an altar there, and he offered thereon a burnt sacrifice to Yahuwah, who had appeared to him. And he removed from thence unto the mountain with Bethel on the west, and Ai on the east, and pitched his tent there. And he saw, and behold, the land was very wide and good, and everything grew thereon, vines and figs and pomegranates, oaks and ilexes, and terebinths and oil trees, and cedars and cypresses and date trees, and all trees of the field, and there was water on the mountains. And he blessed Yahuwah, who had led him out of Ur of the Chaldees, and had brought him to this land. And it came to pass in the first year, in the 7th week, on the new moon of the 1st month, that he built an altar on this mountain, and called on the name of Yahuwah, You, the eternal Elohim, are my Elohim. And he offered on the altar a burnt sacrifice unto Yahuwah, that he should be with him, and not forsake him all the days of his life. And he removed from thence, and went towards the south, and he came to Hebron, and Hebron was built at that time. And he dwelt there 2 years, and he went thence into the land of the south to Beloth, and there was a famine in the land. And Abram went into Egypt in the 3rd year of the week, and he dwelt in Egypt 5 years before his wife was torn away from him. Now Tanais in Egypt was at that time built, 7 years after Hebron. And it came to pass when Pharaoh seized Sarai, the wife of Abram, that Yahuwah plagued Pharaoh and his house with great plagues because of Sarai, Abram's wife. And Abram was honored by reason of possessions in sheep and cattle, and donkeys, and horses, and camels, and menservants and maidservants, and in silver and gold exceedingly. And Lot also his brother's son was wealthy. And Pharaoh gave back Sarai, the wife of Abram, and he sent him out of the land of Egypt. And he journeyed to the place where he had pitched his tent at the beginning, to the place of the altar, with Ai on the east, and Bethel on the west. And he blessed Yahuwah his Elohim, who had brought him back in peace. And it came to pass in the 41st Jubilee, in the 3rd year of the 1st week, that he returned to this place, and offered thereon a burnt sacrifice, and called on the name of Yahuwah, and said, You, the Most High Elohim, are my Elohim forever and ever. And in the 4th year of this week, Lot parted from him, and Lot dwelt in Sodom, and the men of Sodom were sinners exceedingly. And it grieved him in his heart that his brother's son had parted from him, for he had no children. In that year, when Lot was taken captive, Yahuwah said unto Abram, after that Lot had parted from him in the 4th year of this week, Lift up your eyes from the place where you are dwelling, northward, and southward, and westward, and eastward. For all the land which you see I will give to you and to your seed forever, and I will make your seed as the sand of the sea. Though a man may number the dust of the earth, yet your seed shall not be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it, and the breadth of it, and see it all, for to your seed will I give it. And Abram went to Hebron, and dwelt there. And in this year came Kedorlaomer, king of Elam, and Amraphel, king of Shinar, and Ariosh, king of Selasar, and Turgal, king of nations, and slew the king of Gomorrah. And the king of Sodom fled, and many fell through wounds in the vale of Siddim by the salt sea. And they took captive Sodom and Adam and Zeboim, and they took captive Lot also, the son of Abram's brother, and all his possessions, and they went to Dan. And one who had escaped came and told Abram that his brother's son had been taken captive, and Abram armed his household servants for Abram and for his seed, 1/10 of the first fruits to Yahuwah, and Yahuwah ordained it as an ordinance forever, that they should give it to the priests who served before him, that they should possess it forever. And to this law there is no limit of days, for he hath ordained it for the generations forever, that they should give to Yahuwah the 10th of everything, of the seed and of the wine, and of the oil and of the cattle and of the sheep. And he gave it unto his priests to eat, and to drink with joy before him. And the king of Sodom came to him, and bowed himself before him, and said, Our master Abram, give unto us the souls which you have rescued, but let the booty be yours. And Abram said unto him, I lift up my hands to the Most High Elohim, that from a thread to a shoe latchet, I shall not take aught that is yours, lest you should say, I have made Abram rich. Save only what the young men have eaten, and the portion of the men who went with me, Aner, Eshcol and Mamre. These shall take their portion. Chapter 14. After these things, in the 4th year of this week, on the new moon of the 3rd month, the word of Yahuwah came to Abram in a dream, saying, Fear not, Abram, I am your defender, and your reward will be exceeding great. And he said, O sovereign Yahuwah, what will you give me, seeing I go hence childless? And the son of Mask, the son of my handmaid, is the Damask Eliezer, he will be my heir, and to me you have given no seed. And he said unto him, This man will not be your heir, but one that will come out of your own bowels, he will be your heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and said unto him, Look toward heaven and number the stars, if you are able to number them. And he looked toward heaven, and beheld the stars. And he said unto him, So shall your seed be. And he believed in Yahuwah, and it was counted to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am Yahuwah that brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees, to give you the land of the Canaanites to possess it forever. And I will be Elohim unto you, and to your seed after you. And he said, O sovereign Yahuwah, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me an heifer of 3 years, and a goat of 3 years, and a sheep of 3 years, and a turtle dove and a pigeon. And he took all these in the middle of the month, and he dwelt at the oak of Mamre, which is near Hebron. And he built there an altar, and sacrificed all these, and he poured their blood upon the altar, and divided them in the midst, and laid them over against each other, but the birds divided he not. And birds came down upon the pieces, and Abram drove them away, and did not suffer the birds to touch them. And it came to pass, when the sun had set, that an ecstasy fell upon Abram, and lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him, and it was said unto Abram, Know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs. And they shall bring them into bondage, and afflict them 400 years. And the nation also to whom they will be in bondage will I judge, and after that they shall come forth thence with much substance. And you shall go to your fathers in peace, and be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall return hither, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And he awoke from his sleep, and he arose, and the sun had set, and there was a flame, and behold, a furnace was smoking, and a flame of fire passed between the pieces. And on that day Yahuwah made a covenant with Abram, saying, To your seed will I give this land from the river of Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. The Kenites, the Kenizzites, the Cadmonites, the Perizzites, and the Rephaim, the Phacharites, and the Hivites, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites. And the day passed, and Abram offered the pieces, and the birds, and their fruit offerings, and their drink offerings, and the fire devoured them. And on that day we made a covenant with Abram, according as we had covenanted with Noah in this month, and Abram renewed the festival and ordinance for himself forever. And Abram rejoiced, and made all these things known to Sarai his wife, and he believed that he would have seed, but she did not bear. And Sarai advised her husband Abram, and said unto him, Go in unto Hagar, my Egyptian maid, it may be that I shall build up seed unto you by her. And Abram hearkened unto the voice of Sarai his wife, and said unto her, Do so. And Sarai took Hagar her maid, the Egyptian, and gave her to Abram her husband, to be his wife. And he went in unto her, and she conceived, and bare him a son, and he called his name Ishmael, in the 5th year of this week, and this was the 86th year in the life of Abram. Chapter 15. And in the 5th year of the 4th week of this Jubilee, in the 3rd month, in the middle of the month, Abram celebrated the feast of the first fruits of the grain harvest. And he offered new offerings on the altar, the first fruits of the produce, unto Yahuwah, an heifer and a goat, and a sheep on the altar as a burnt sacrifice unto Yahuwah. Their fruit offerings and their drink offerings he offered upon the altar with frankincense. And Yahuwah appeared to Abram, and said unto him, I am Elohim Almighty, approve yourself before me, and be you perfect. And I will make my covenant between me and you, and I will multiply you exceedingly. And Abram fell on his face, and Elohim talked with him and said, Behold, my ordinance is with you, and you shall be the father of many nations. Neither shall your name any more be called Abram, but your name from henceforth, even forever, shall be Abraham. For the father of many nations have I made you. And I will make you very great, and I will make you into nations, and kings shall come forth from you. And I shall establish my covenant between me and you, and your seed after you, throughout their generations for an eternal covenant. So that I may be Elohim unto you, and to your seed after you. The land where you have been a sojourner, the land of Canaan, that you may possess it forever, and I will be their Elohim. And Yahuwah said unto Abraham, And as for you, do you keep my covenant, you and your seed after you? And circumcise you every male among you, and circumcise your foreskins, and it shall be a token of an eternal covenant between me and you. And the child on the 8th day you shall circumcise, every male throughout your generations, him that is born in the house, or whom you have bought with money from any stranger whom you have acquired who is not of your seed. He that is born in your house shall surely be circumcised, and those whom you have bought with money shall be circumcised. And my covenant shall be in your flesh for an eternal ordinance. And the uncircumcised male who is not circumcised in the flesh of his foreskin on the 8th day, that soul shall be cut off from his people, for he has broken my covenant. And Elohim said unto Abraham, As for Sarai your wife, her name shall no more be called Sarai, but Sarah shall be her name. And I will bless her, and give you a son by her, and I will bless him, and he shall become a nation, and kings of nations shall proceed from him. And Abraham fell on his face, and rejoiced, and said in his heart, Shall a son be born to him that is 100 years old, and shall Sarah who is 90 years old bring forth? And Abraham said unto Elohim, O that Ishmael might live before you. And Elohim said, Yea, and Sarah also shall bear you a son, and you shall call his name Isaac, and I will establish my covenant with him, an everlasting covenant, and for his seed after him. And as for Ishmael also have I heard you, and behold I will bless him, and make him great, and multiply him exceedingly, and he shall beget 12 princes, and I will make him a great nation. But my covenant will I establish with Yitzchak, whom Sarah shall bear to you in these days in the next year. And he left off speaking with him, and Elohim went up from Abraham. And Abraham did according as Elohim had said unto him, and he took Ishmael his son, and all that were born in his house, and whom he had bought with his money, every male in his house, and circumcised the flesh of their foreskin. And on the selfsame day was Abraham circumcised, and all the men of his house, and all those whom he had bought with money from the children of the stranger, were circumcised with him. This law is for all the generations forever. And there is no circumcision of the days, and no omission of 1 day out of the 8 days, for it is an eternal ordinance, ordained and written on the heavenly tablets. And everyone that is born, the flesh of whose foreskin is not circumcised on the 8th day, belongs not to the children of the covenant, which Yahuwah made with Abraham, but to the children of destruction. Nor is there, moreover, any sign on him that he is Yahuwah's, but he is destined to be destroyed and slain from the earth, and to be rooted out of the earth, for he has broken the covenant of Yahuwah our Elohim. For all the Malachim of the presence, and all the Malachim of purification have been so created from the day of their creation, and before the Malachim of the presence, and the Malachim of purification he hath purified Yashar'al that they should be with him, and with his set-apart Malachim. And do you command the children of Yashar'al, and let them observe the sign of this covenant for their generations as an eternal ordinance, and they will not be rooted out of the land. For the command is ordained for a covenant, that they should observe it forever among all the children of Yashar'al. For Ishmael and his sons and his brothers and Esau, Yahuwah did not cause to approach him, and he chose them not because they are the children of Abraham, because he knew them, but he chose Yashar'al to be his people. And he purified it, and gathered it from amongst all the children of men, for there are many nations and many people, and all are his, and over all hath he placed spirits in authority to lead them astray from him. But over Yashar'al he did not appoint any Moloch, or spirit, for he alone is their ruler, and he will preserve them and require them at the hand of his Malachim and his spirits, and at the hand of all his powers, in order that he may preserve them and bless them, and that they may be his and he may be theirs from henceforth forever. And now I announce unto you that the children of Yashar'al will not keep true to this ordinance, and they will not circumcise their sons according to all this law. For in the flesh of their circumcision, they will omit this circumcision of their sons, and all of them sons of Belial will leave their sons uncircumcised as they were born. And there will be great wrath from Yahuwah against the children of Yashar'al, because they have forsaken his covenant, and turned aside from his word, and provoked and blasphemed inasmuch as they do not observe the ordinance of this law. For they have treated their members like the Gentiles, so that they may be removed and rooted out of the land. And there will no more be pardon or forgiveness unto them, so that there should be forgiveness and pardon for all the sin of this eternal error. Book of Jubilees, chapter 16. And on the new moon of the 4th month we appeared unto Abraham at the oak of Mamre, and we talked with him, and we announced to him that a son would be given to him by Sarah his wife. And Sarah laughed, for she heard that we had spoken these words with Abraham, and we admonished her. And she became afraid and denied that she had laughed on account of the words. And we told her the name of her son, as his name is ordained and written in the heavenly tablets. And that when we returned to her at a set time, she would have conceived a son. And in this month Yahuwah executed his judgments on Sodom and Gomorrah and Zebulun, and all the region of the Jordan. And he burned them with fire and brimstone, and destroyed them until this day. Even as I have declared unto you all their works, that they are wicked and sinners exceedingly, and that they defile themselves and commit fornication in their flesh, and work uncleanness on the earth. And, in like manner, Elohim will execute judgment on the places where they have done according to the uncleanness of the Sodomites, like unto the judgment of Sodom. But Lot we saved, for Elohim remembered Abraham, and sent him out from the midst of the overthrow. And he and his daughters committed sin upon the earth, such as had not been on the earth since the days of Adam till his time, for the man lay with his daughters. And behold, it was commanded, and engraven concerning all his seed, on the heavenly tablets, to remove them and root them out, and to execute judgment upon them like the judgment of Sodom, and to leave no seed of the man on earth on the day of condemnation. And in this month Abraham moved from Hebron, and departed, and dwelt between Cach and Shur in the mountains of Gerar. And in the middle of the 5th month he moved from thence, and dwelt at the well of the oath. And in the middle of the 6th month Yahuwah visited Sarah, and did unto her as he had spoken, and she conceived. And she bare a son in the 3rd month, and in the middle of the month, at the time of which Yahuwah had spoken to Abraham on the festival of the first fruits of the harvest, Isaac was born. And Abraham circumcised his son on the 8th day. He was the first that was circumcised according to the covenant which is ordained forever. And in the 6th year of the 4th week, we came to Abraham to the well of the oath. And we appeared unto him as we had told Sarah that we should return to her, and she would have conceived a son. And we returned in the 7th month, and found Sarah with child before us, and we blessed him. And we announced to him all the things which had been decreed concerning him, that he should not die till he should beget 6 sons more, and should see them before he died. But that in Isaac should his name and seed be called, and that all the seed of his sons should be Gentiles, and be reckoned with the Gentiles. But from the sons of Isaac one should become a set-apart seed, and should not be reckoned among the Gentiles. For he should become the portion of the Most High, and all his seed had fallen into the possession of Elohim, that it should be unto Yahuwah a people for his possession above all nations, and that it should become a kingdom and priests and a set-apart nation. And we went our way, and we announced to Sarah all that we had told him, and they both rejoiced with exceeding great joy. And he built there an altar to Yahuwah, who had delivered him, and who was making him rejoice in the land of his sojourning. And he celebrated a festival of joy in this month 7 days, near the altar which he had built at the well of the oath. And he built booths for himself and for his servants on this festival, and he was the first to celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles on the earth. And during these 7 days he brought each day to the altar a burnt offering to Yahuwah, 2 oxen, 2 rams, 7 sheep, 1 he-goat, for a sin offering, that he might atone thereby for himself and for his seed. And, as a thank offering, 7 rams, 7 kids, 7 sheep, and 7 he-goats, and their fruit offerings and their drink offerings. And he burnt all the fat thereof on the altar, a chosen offering unto Yahuwah for a sweet-smelling savor. And morning and evening he burnt fragrant substances, frankincense and galbanum. and stacte, and nard, and myrrh and spice. And custom all these 7 he offered, crushed, mixed together in equal parts and pure. And he celebrated this feast during 7 days, rejoicing with all his heart, and with all his soul. He and all those who were in his house, and there was no stranger with him nor any that was uncircumcised. And he blessed his Creator who had created him in his generation, for he had created him according to his good pleasure. For he knew and perceived that from him would arise the plant of righteousness for the eternal generations. And from him a set-apart seed, so that it should become like him who had made all things. And he blessed and rejoiced, and he called the name of this festival the festival of Yahuwah, a joy acceptable to the Most High Elohim. And we blessed him forever, and all his seed after him throughout all the generations of the earth. Because he celebrated this festival in its season, according to the testimony of the heavenly tablets. For this reason it is ordained on the heavenly tablets concerning Yashar'al that they shall celebrate the Feast of Tabernacles 7 days with joy in the 7th month, acceptable before Yahuwah. A statute forever throughout their generations every year. And to this there is no limit of days, for it is ordained forever regarding Yashar'al that they should celebrate it and dwell in booths and set wreaths upon their heads, and take leafy boughs and willows from the brook. And Abraham took branches of palm trees and the fruit of goodly trees. And every day going round the altar with the branches 7 times a day in the morning, he praised and gave thanks to his Elohim for all things in joy. Chapter 17. And in the 1st year of the 5th week Isaac was weaned in this Jubilee, and Abraham made a great banquet in the 3rd month on the day his son Isaac was weaned. And Ishmael, the son of Hagar, the Egyptian, was before the face of Abraham his father in his place, and Abraham rejoiced and blessed Elohim because he had seen his sons and had not died childless. And he remembered the words which he had spoken to him on the day on which Lot had parted from him. And he rejoiced because Yahuwah had given him seed upon the earth to inherit the earth. And he blessed with all his mouth the Creator of all things. And Sarah saw Ishmael playing and dancing, and Abraham rejoicing with great joy. And she became jealous of Ishmael and said to Abraham, "Cast out this bondwoman and her son, for the son of this bondwoman will not be heir with my son Isaac." And the thing was grievous in Abraham's sight, because of his maidservant, and because of his son, that he should drive them from him. And Elohim said to Abraham, "Let it not be grievous in your sight, because of the child, and because of the bondwoman. In all that Sarah have said unto you, hearken to her words and do them. For in Isaac shall your name and seed be called. But as for the son of this bondwoman, I will make him a great nation, because he is of your seed." And Abraham rose up early in the morning, and took bread and a bottle of water, and placed them on the shoulders of Hagar and the child, and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba, and the water in the bottle was spent, and the child thirsted, and was not able to go on, and fell down. And his mother took him and cast him under an olive tree, and went and sat her down over against him at the distance of a bow shot. For she said, "Let me not see the death of my child," and as she sat she wept. And in Moloch of Elohim, one of the set-apart ones, said unto her, "Why weep you, Hagar? Arise, take the child, and hold him in your hand, for Elohim have heard your voice, and have seen the child." And she opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water, and she went and filled her bottle with water, and she gave her child to drink, and she arose and went towards the wilderness of Paran. And the child grew and became an archer, and Elohim was with him, and his mother took him a wife from among the daughters of Egypt. And she bare him a son, and he called his name Nebaioth, for she said, "Yahuwah was nigh to me when I called upon him." And it came to pass in the 7th week, in the 1st year thereof, in the 1st month, in this Jubilee, on the 12th of this month, there were voices in heaven regarding Abraham, that he was faithful in all that he told him, and that he loved Yahuwah, and that in every affliction he was faithful. And the prince Mastema came and said before Elohim, "Behold, Abraham loves Isaac his son, and he delights in him above all things else. Bid him offer him as a burnt offering on the altar, and you will see if he will do this command. And you will know if he is faithful in everything wherein you do try him." And Yahuwah knew that Abraham was faithful in all his afflictions. For he had tried him through his country and with famine, and had tried him with the wealth of kings, and had tried him again through his wife, when she was torn from him, and with circumcision, and had tried him through Ishmael and Hagar, his maidservant, when he sent them away. And in everything wherein he had tried him, he was found faithful, and his soul was not impatient, and he was not slow to act. For he was faithful, and a lover of Yahuwah. Chapter 18. And Elohim said to him, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Behold, here am I. And he said, Take your beloved son whom you love, even Isaac, and go unto the high country, and offer him on one of the mountains which I will point out unto you. And he rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey, and took his 2 young men with him and Isaac his son, and clave the wood of the burnt offering, and he went to the place on the 3rd day, and he saw the place afar off. And he came to a well of water, and he said to his young men, Abide you here with the donkeys, and I and the lad shall go yonder, and when we have worshipped we shall come again to you. And he took the wood of the burnt offering and laid it on Isaac his son, and he took in his hand the fire and the knife, and they went both of them together to that place. And Isaac said to his father, Father. And he said, Here am I, my son. And he said unto him, Behold the fire and the knife, and the wood, but where is the sheep for the burnt offering, father? And he said, Elohim will provide for himself a sheep for a burnt offering, my son. And he drew near to the place of the mountain of Elohim. And he built an altar, and he placed the wood on the altar, and bound Isaac his son, and placed him on the wood which was upon the altar, and stretched forth his hand to take the knife to slay Isaac his son. And I stood before him and before the prince Mastema, and Yahuwah said, Bid him not to lay his hand on the lad, nor to do anything to him, for I have shown that he fears Yahuwah. And I called to him from heaven and said unto him, Abraham, Abraham, and he was terrified and said, Behold, here am I. And I said unto him, Lay not your hand upon the lad, neither do you anything to him, for now I have shown that you fear Yahuwah, and have not withheld your son, your firstborn son, from me. And the prince Mastema was put to shame. And Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a ram caught by his horns, and Abraham went and took the ram, and offered it for a burnt offering in the stead of his son. And Abraham called that place, Yahuwah have seen. So that it is said in the mountain, Yahuwah have seen, that is Mount Sion. And Yahuwah called Abraham by his name a second time from heaven, as he caused us to appear to speak to him in the name of Yahuwah. And he said, By myself have I sworn, says Yahuwah, because you have done this thing, and have not withheld your son, your beloved son, from me, that in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of heaven, and as the sand which is on the seashore. And your seed shall inherit the cities of its enemies. And in your seed shall all nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. And I have shown to all that you are faithful unto me in all that I have said unto you. Go in peace. And Abraham went to his young men, and they arose and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt by the well of the oath. And he celebrated this festival every year, 7 days with joy, and he called it the festival of Yahuwah, according to the 7 days during which he went and returned in peace. And accordingly has it been ordained and written on the heavenly tablets regarding Yashar'al and its seed, that they should observe this festival 7 days with the joy of festival. Book of Jubilees, Chapter 19. And in the 1st year of the 1st week in the 42nd Jubilee, Abraham returned and dwelt opposite Hebron, that is Kirjath Arba, 2 weeks of years. And in the 1st year of the 3rd week of this Jubilee, the days of the life of Sarah were accomplished, and she died in Hebron. And Abraham went to mourn over her and bury her, and we tried him to see if his spirit were patient, and he were not indignant in the words of his mouth. And he was found patient in this, and was not disturbed. For in patience of spirit he conversed with the children of Heth, to the intent that they should give him a place in which to bury his dead. And Yahuwah gave him favor before all who saw him, and he besought in gentleness the sons of Heth. And they gave him the land of the double cave over against Mamre, that is Hebron, for 400 pieces of silver. And they besought him, saying, We shall give it to you for nothing. But he would not take it from their hands for nothing, for he gave the price of the place, the money in full. And he bowed down before them twice, and after this he buried his dead in the double cave. And all the days of the life of Sarah were 127 years, that is 2 jubilees and 4 weeks and 1 year. These are the days of the years of the life of Sarah. This is the 10th trial wherewith Abraham was tried, and he was found faithful, patient in spirit. And he said not a single word regarding the rumor in the land how that Elohim had said that he would give it to him and to his seed after him. And he begged a place there to bury his dead, for he was found faithful, and was recorded on the heavenly tablets as the friend of Elohim. And in the 4th year thereof he took a wife for his son Isaac, and her name was Rebekah, the daughter of Bethuel, the son of Nahor, the brother of Abraham, the sister of Laban and daughter of Bethuel. And Bethuel was the son of Milcah, who was the wife of Nahor, the brother of Abraham. And Abraham took to himself a 3rd wife, and her name was Keturah, from among the daughters of his household servants, for Hagar had died before Sarah. And she bare him 6 sons, Simram and Jokshan, and Madon and Midian, and Ishbak and Shua in the 2 weeks of years. And in the 6th week, in the 2nd year thereof, Rebekah bare to Isaac 2 sons, Jacob and Esau. And Jacob was a smooth and upright man, and Esau was fierce, a man of the field, and hairy, and Jacob dwelt in tents. And the youths grew, and Jacob learned to write. But Esau did not learn, for he was a man of the field and a hunter, and he learnt war, and all his deeds were fierce. And Abraham loved Jacob, but Isaac loved Esau. And Abraham saw the deeds of Esau, and he knew that in Jacob should his name and seed be called. And he called Rebekah and gave commandment regarding Jacob, for he knew that she too loved Jacob much more than Esau. And he said unto her, My daughter, watch over my son Jacob, for he shall be in my stead on the earth, and for a blessing in the midst of the children of men, and for the esteem of the whole seed of Shem. For I know that Yahuwah will choose him to be a people for possession unto himself above all peoples that are upon the face of the earth. And behold, Isaac my son loves Esau more than Jacob, but I see that you truly love Jacob. Add still further to your kindness to him, and let your eyes be upon him in love. For he shall be a blessing unto us on the earth from henceforth unto all generations of the earth. Let your hands be strong, and let your heart rejoice in your son Jacob, for I have loved him far beyond all my sons. He shall be blessed forever, and his seed shall fill the whole earth. If a man can number the sand of the earth, his seed also shall be numbered. And all the blessings wherewith Yahuwah have blessed me and my seed shall belong to Jacob and his seed always. And in his seed shall my name be blessed, and the name of my fathers Shem, and Noah, and Enoch, and Mahalalel, and Enos, and Seth, and Adam. And these shall serve to lay the foundations of the heavens, and to strengthen the earth, and to renew all the luminaries which are in the firmament. And he called Jacob before the eyes of Rebekah his mother, and kissed him and blessed him, and said, Jacob my beloved son, whom my soul loves, may Elohim bless you from above the firmament. And may he give you all the blessings wherewith he blessed Adam and Enoch, and Noah and Shem, and all the things of which he told me, and all the things which he promised to give me. May he cause to cleave to you and to your seed forever, according to the days of heaven above the earth. And the spirits of Mastema shall not rule over you or over your seed to turn you from Yahuwah, who is your Elohim from henceforth forever. And may Yahuwah Elohim be a father to you, and you the firstborn son, and to the people always. Go in peace, my son. And they both went forth together from Abraham. And Rebekah loved Jacob with all her heart and with all her soul very much more than Esau, but Isaac loved Esau much more than Jacob. Chapter 20. And in the 42nd Jubilee, in the 1st year of the 7th week, Abraham called Ishmael, and his 12 sons, and Isaac, and his 2 sons, and the 6 sons of Keturah, and their sons. And he commanded them, that they should observe the way of Yahuwah, that they should work righteousness, and love each his neighbor, and act on this manner amongst all men, that they should each so walk with regard to them as to do judgment and righteousness on the earth, that they should circumcise their sons according to the covenant which he had made with them, and not deviate to the right hand or the left of all the paths which Yahuwah had commanded us, and that we should keep ourselves from all fornication and uncleanness, And renounce from amongst us all fornication and uncleanness. And if any woman or maid commit fornication amongst you, burn her with fire, and let them not commit fornication with her after their eyes and their heart. And let them not take to themselves wives from the daughters of Canaan, for the seed of Canaan will be rooted out of the land. And he told them of the judgment of the giants, and the judgment of the Sodomites, how they had been judged on account of their wickedness, and had died on account of their fornication, and uncleanness, and mutual corruption through fornication. And guard yourselves from all fornication and uncleanness, and from all pollution of sin, lest you make our name a curse, and your whole life a hissing, and all your sons to be destroyed by the sword, and you become accursed like Sodom, and all your remnant as the sons of Gomorrah. I implore you, my sons, love the Elohim of heaven, and cleave you to all his commandments. And walk not after their idols, and after their uncleannesses. And make not for yourselves molten or graven mighty ones. For they are vanity, and there is no spirit in them. For they are work of men's hands, and all who trust in them trust in nothing. Serve them not, nor worship them, but serve you the Most High Elohim, and worship him continually. And hope for his countenance always, and work uprightness and righteousness before him. That he may have pleasure in you, and grant you his mercy, and send rain upon you morning and evening. And bless all your works which you have wrought upon the earth, and bless your bread and your water. And bless the fruit of your womb, and the fruit of your land, and the herds of your cattle, and the flocks of your sheep. And you will be for a blessing on the earth, and all nations of the earth will desire you, and bless your sons in my name, that they may be blessed as I am. And he gave to Ishmael and to his sons and to the sons of Keturah gifts, and sent them away from Isaac his son, and he gave everything to Isaac his son. And Ishmael and his sons and the sons of Keturah and their sons went together and dwelt from Paran to the entering in of Babylon, in all the land which is towards the east facing the desert. And these mingled with each other, and their name was called Arabs and Ishmaelites. Chapter 21. And in the 6th year of the 7th week of this Jubilee, Abraham called Isaac his son, and commanded him, saying, I am become old, and know not the day of my death, and am full of my days. And behold, I am 175 years old, and throughout all the days of my life I have remembered Yahuwah, and sought with all my heart to do his will, and to walk uprightly in all his ways. My soul has hated idols, that I might observe to do the will of him who created me. For he is the living Elohim, and he is set apart and faithful, and he is righteous beyond all, and there is with him no accepting of men's persons, and no accepting of gifts. For Elohim is righteous, and execute judgment on all those who transgress his commandments and despise his covenant. And do you, my son, observe his commandments and his ordinances and his judgments. And walk not after the abominations, and after the graven images, and after the molten images. And eat no blood at all of animals or cattle, or of any bird which flies in the heaven. And if you do slay a victim as an acceptable peace offering, slay you it, and pour out its blood upon the altar. And all the fat of the offering offer on the altar with fine flour, and the meat offering mingled with oil with its drink offering, offer them all together on the altar of burnt offering. It is a sweet savor before Yahuwah. And you will offer the fat of the sacrifice of thank offerings on the fire which is upon the altar, and the fat which is on the belly, and all the fat on the inwards and the 2 kidneys, and all the fat that is upon them, and upon the loins and liver you shall remove together with the kidneys. And offer all these for a sweet savor acceptable before Yahuwah, with its meat offering and with its drink offering for a sweet savor, the bread of the offering unto Yahuwah. And eat its meat on that day and on the 2nd day, and let not the sun on the 2nd day go down upon it till it is eaten, and let nothing be left over for the 3rd day. For it is not acceptable, for it is not approved, and let it no longer be eaten, and all who eat thereof will bring sin upon themselves. For thus I have found it written in the books of my forefathers, and in the words of Enoch, and in the words of Noah. And on all your oblations you shall strew salt, and let not the salt of the covenant be lacking in all your oblations before Yahuwah. And as regards the wood of the sacrifices, beware lest you bring other wood for the altar in addition to these: cypress, bay, almond, fir, pine, cedar, savin, fig, olive, myrrh, laurel, aspalathus, And of these kinds of wood lay upon the altar under the sacrifice, such as have been tested as to their appearance, and do not lay thereon any split or dark wood, but hard and clean without fault a sound and new growth. And do not lay thereon old wood, for its fragrance is gone, for there is no longer fragrance in it as before. Besides these kinds of wood there is none other that you shall place on the altar, for the fragrance is dispersed, and the smell of its fragrance goes not up to heaven. Observe this commandment and do it, my son, that you may be upright in all your deeds. And at all times be clean in your body, and wash yourself with water before you approach to offer on the altar. And wash your hands and your feet, before you draw near to the altar. And when you are done sacrificing, wash again your hands and your feet. And let no blood appear upon you nor upon your clothes. Be on your guard, my son, against blood. Be on your guard exceedingly, cover it with dust. And do not eat any blood, for it is the soul. Eat no blood whatever. And take no gifts for the blood of man, lest it be shed with impunity without judgment. For it is the blood that is shed that causes the earth to sin, and the earth cannot be cleansed from the blood of man save by the blood of him who shed it. And take no present or gift for the blood of man, blood for blood, that you may be accepted before Yahuwah, the Most High Elohim. For he is the defense of the good, and that you may be preserved from all evil, and that he may save you from every kind of death. I see, my son, that all the works of the children of men are sin and wickedness, and all their deeds are uncleanness and an abomination and a pollution, and there is no righteousness with them. Beware lest you should walk in their ways and tread in their paths, and sin a sin unto death before the Most High Elohim. Else he will hide his face from you, and give you back into the hands of your transgression, and root you out of the land, and your seed likewise from under heaven. And your name, and your seed shall perish from the whole earth. Turn away from all their deeds and all their uncleanness, and observe the ordinance of the Most High Elohim, and do his will, and be upright in all things. And he will bless you in all your deeds, and will raise up from you a plant of righteousness through all the earth, throughout all generations of the earth, and my name and your name shall not be forgotten under heaven forever. Go, my son, in peace. May the Most High Elohim, my Elohim and your Elohim, strengthen you to do his will. And may he bless all your seed and the residue of your seed for the generations forever, with all righteous blessings, that you may be a blessing on all the earth. And he went out from him rejoicing,